When working with the restrained color palette, there are various mechanics that one can introduce to make for a liberated home. Add multiple levels to clever architecture and a selection of foolproof construction materials, and there you find yourself in an authentically modern industrial home. In this week's episode of Finest Homes, we visit a house designed by Pieter Steyn of Blunt Architects that boasts a modern industrial aesthetic. We'll also chat to the homeowner who took a hands-on approach to designing and decorating the home. Then we delve into a mood board to see how you can add interest to neutrals. But first, I meet up with architect Pieter Steyn of Blunt Architects, who was responsible for this 3-level home. Upon entrance, you feel like you're peeling away at layers. First the ground floor with parking, then up a beautiful hardwood staircase and a textured cement wall finish that tells me every corner of this home has been thought about and executed to perfection. It's when you reach the first floor that houses the kitchen and living areas that you truly start to see Pieter's vision. Pieter, the entrance is really quite unique in that you use different levels, not only to create boundary walls, but also to create quite a bit of privacy. Now, let's start right from the beginning. What was the client's brief?
Yeah, so the client's brief was to have a family house that is living out to the north, but the restrictions was you're coming in from the north and you've got the north sloping side. So to create some privacy, we split the house up in levels and creating a bridge in between the entertainment area and the pool to give them the spectacular view and the privacy. So the design brief was I want a modern industrial design. So we've tried to combine the modern materials with a more robust industrial elements like the concrete, steel, and play it off of wooden decks and wooden floors. So it's a modern house with seamless floors, sliding glass planes, and in contrast with that we've used concrete and steel.
Now, just exactly where we're standing, this looks like a place for a really good time. Entertainment seems like it was a big part of what you're trying to achieve here.
Yes, no, definitely. So the client likes to entertain. They've got a big family, and so we've designed everything around that, keeping the parking separate downstairs, connecting certain spaces, entertainment and pool, living areas opening up for nice entertainment areas. And then we also used wooden decks, wooden shutters to control the sun. That's a more natural element, just to soften it up. And especially on a wooden deck, that's a bridge that connects the pool and the entertainment area that gives them the privacy they need.
Well, speaking of the bridge, I see it connects right to the entertainment area, my favorite part of the home. So I'd love to talk more about that space.
Let's show you.
Awesome. Yeah, this is stunning. The plantation here for me is like awesome. As we meander past the open-air entertainment area with its built-in seating, the house reveals an undercover patio with beautifully moody walls and monochromatic artworks. This truly blends the line between interior and exterior. Now, Pieter, we're in such a stunning part of the home. I'm sure this family spends so much time here, but can you talk me through the layout of the entire home?
So the layout of the home, all the spaces is actually interconnected with the bridge going from entertainment to the pool, your dining opening up to the entertainment, and again the lounge opening up to the pool. So everything is interconnected with a quite nice flow. Yeah, so it's a redefined mixture of materials, the concrete, the steel, that's quite heavy. We have added a lot of glass planes, sliding to cavities to open up your entertainment, the living area, so the interior can meet the landscape. And that creates quite a nice flow into the house.
Now, greenery and plantation is an obvious feature around this home, but something you may have been involved in is that garden right in the middle of the play area.
Yeah, so that's quite a nice feature in the house for me. It's an indigenous garden on top of the entrance lobby. That's an interlevel between the middle level and upper level, and that really brings the nature reserve into the house with the indigenous garden and also lounge opening up to it.
Absolutely. I have to say there's almost like a circular movement around the home, even though it's a rectangular structure. It seems like you can really make your way around the home.
No, definitely. So we try to split it a bit up, entertainment, living area, so the adults can enjoy the entertainment here, the kids can be in the living area and lounge, and they're still separate, but they're still connected to one another.
Peter, you mentioned the concept of an industrial theme in the home. So how did you ensure that the interior complemented the exterior within that theme?
The concrete, the steel, the glass, that connects the interior with the exterior. And with the design of the house, the client already had a lot of furniture pieces, art pieces, that we literally design each space around it to define its own space.
What would you say are your star architectural features in this home?
There's a lot of features to the house, elements that stands out, but the main feature for the house for me is the layout of the house. Because we've got such a restricted stand, we try to flow certain areas into one another. That becomes quite a nice feature for me, the living of daily life in the house. The basement parking is also the entrance to the house. So to create a bit more light and volume, we've opened up the bridge to give more light to the entrance lobby. That's got a nice art piece flowing up with the staircase into the house.
I mean, that's a well-considered feature. Are there any other areas of the home that sort of brought about challenges of any kind?
Yes, so because of the materials you use, the concrete, the steel, that's quite heavy. We've tried to lighten it up with a floating bridge, the floating stairs, the seamless glass balustrades and glass facades.
I mean, what stands out for me is the fact that the width of the stand isn't necessarily the widest, but the height really maximizes on the space you can use.
No, we definitely try to make use of the height. Because we've got the sloping stand and we've got this nice, beautiful view, we try to use the height into advantage for views and privacy.
Now, I believe we're in a nature reserve. So what kind of restrictions did you have to work around to achieve this home?
There's height restrictions, that's quite complicated. That's what was crucial, to work each millimeter out, that we still stay into the height restrictions, but still have a 3-story house with nice views. Yeah, so the 3 levels, ground floors, parking, garages, upper level is the living areas that go out onto the landscape, and then the top floor is your bedrooms. So in each space is designed uniquely, so it's still an open plan house, but you still get a sense of a different feel in each space.
Stay with us as after the break we speak to the homeowner who designed and decorated the interior of this beautiful modern industrial family home. In today's episode of Finest Homes, we're visiting a house designed by architect Pieter Steyn of Blunt Architects. A house built with a small footprint, thanks to a modest stand, enjoys height made possible by 3 well-planned levels. Before the break, we spoke to Pieter about the architectural features of this home, and now I'm chatting to the homeowner, whose vision was brought to life in this beautiful home. Sinka, what an incredibly stunning home.
Thank you so much.
A job well done. And I have to say,
you.
we're just talking about architecture. The architecture of the home is a beautiful canvas for a variety of interior styles. So, as the homeowner and interior designer and decorator, how would you describe the style?
As my style. It's a difficult question because I didn't actually choose a particular style. It's just all the things that I love and that make me happy. But obviously it's a modern industrial style. I tried to bring some South African touches into it and, to just create what we love and what my husband and I enjoy and what's beautiful to us. I tried to put a lot of texture into the house with linen, Persian carpet, wood, copper coffee tables, leather, all of those things together to soften the modern industrial feeling. But I would say it's predominantly that style.
Yeah, because it seems like sort of the hard finishings are very similar from exterior to interior.
So obviously because there's such strong lines and it's quite harsh, the concrete and the steel, I tried to soften it a lot because otherwise it could easily feel quite cold and overly modern for a family of 4 with 2 little toddlers.
So right behind you, you've got your beautiful kitchen that really sits in the heart of the living space. So talk me through your selection of kitchen cabinetry and the surfaces you've selected to make it harmonious and the heart of the home.
My husband loves to cook and he's very good at it, and it's one of his hobbies and passions on the side, and so he had a big hand in choosing our kitchen layout and all the cupboards, and it's incredibly practical, and it's all really centered around making meals for the family and for the home. So it really is very practical. He's an engineer and very precise, so everything in our house is sort of aimed towards him cooking, enjoying the kitchen and being able to do it and not be separated from the rest of the family, being able to cook with me having a glass of wine with him and the kids playing around. So we had exceptional cabinetry company help us out, and we gave them our thoughts and ideas and showed them the designs that we liked and that we wanted to incorporate, and they were phenomenal in helping us put it all together, and it came out exactly as we'd hoped.
Stunning. What were some of the details and the non-negotiables for, the expert chef in the house?
He didn't want an extractor in the middle of the room, sort of separating the rooms. That's why we put the stove on that side over there, and it had to be a gas stove as well. We've got 3 ovens in this house, believe it or not. You could bake quite a lot of things, and I don't bake at all, but you could if you wanted to. And we often use all 3 of the ovens. We've got a steamer as well in there, which is amazing. And we wanted a lot of packing space. The treatment on the cupboards, we were again sensitive for having small children, and we didn't want to go Duco or anything that scratches easily. But we wanted something that was warm. So I think you'll find that the treatment on the cupboards does give that warmth, and you can't see finger marks, you can't see scratches. So far so good.
I want to stick to the materials a little bit because they really do stand out in the home.
Where it all started for me is I saw this beautiful picture of a floating concrete staircase in a magazine. And I sent the picture to the architect and I told him to design the house around the staircase because it was really special to me, and from there it all grew.
Beautiful. And I'd love to talk a little bit about the floor treatment and the walls. You've got beautiful dark colours, but it's still light and fresh in here.
Again, I think it's because of the mixture of textures. There's wood, there's linen, there's Persian carpets, there's leather. All of those different textures I think work very well together. And then I think for the wall treatments, because it has movement in it, it gives warmth. So it's not, just one blank color of darkness. You'll see in the bathrooms that it looks like it's got a bit of movement in it, and it, I think, gives warmth to it. And then the floors, we needed to be practical because, again, this is a house for a family and it's a house for toddlers to grow up in. We chose a terracotta sort of semcrete finish for the floors because it's practical, it's durable, and I hate when you tile a place and they make a little drop and it's dirty and you have to get the mop out, and it's just not the way that we want to live.
Well, a job well done, and I'll tell you something you've done exceptionally well and hard not to notice is your collection of art. Every single piece seems like a masterpiece. Who was responsible for this collection?
I love art. I really love art, and I wish I could acquire more pieces. In my next life, I wish to be an art curator. But my husband also has grown to love art, and it's a journey that we are now together. Most pieces have to have a bit of a story, and I feel art is a bit of a love affair. You have to look at something and you have to love it, because it lives in your home. It's almost like another sibling that moves into your house. So you have to love it. It has to be something that you look at every day and it makes you happy when you walk past it. And also what I find is you have to be able to move it around in your house. If you get bored of it in a certain spot, you need to be able to move it and love it somewhere else. And then I can tell you about every piece in the house, but I won't bore you. But yes, art is something that we are passionate about, and we're building up the collection as we go.
So I have to ask you, which part of the home is your favorite?
I would say that we spend the most time, obviously, in the living area with our kids, and a house for me is a living organism that changes with you as you go through the phases of your life. But I think the space that I love when I've been away for a week or two and I come back home, the space that I really, really love and cherish is our master bedroom upstairs. It's almost like a little apartment in itself. And again, our kids walking into the room in the mornings and climbing into bed with us, and they use our bathroom and shower there. And so I'd say the living area and our main bedroom is definitely my favorite parts of the house.
So shall we move to the lounge and have a look?
Sure, let's go.
I just want to talk about scale a little bit. I mean, you're working with 3 stories, so how does one prioritize in filling up a home and making it feel homely as you have done?
I think for us, a big priority was obviously our master bedroom. It's quite a large space, but for us it was, where do you spend the most time? And we wanted lots of light in our bathroom. We wanted a big space. You get ready there. We wanted to be able to sort of have it be one space where if you're in the bathroom or the bedroom, or there can be conversation happening all the time. And again, as I say, because you spend so much time there, we really wanted it to feel like it could be a little house all by itself.
Well, you talk about where you spend most of your time. It seems like your family loves to have a good time, and that's why you've got such a beautiful exterior area for entertainment.
We love to entertain, we love to have people over, we love people generally just around us in our house. And as I mentioned in the kitchen, my husband's a very good cook, so we definitely wanted to make the most of the space. And obviously it was a small stand, so a lot of thinking went into how to optimize on the exterior of the house and how to be able to maximize the usage of the stand, which I think we've done quite well considering that it's only about a 600 square meter stand.
And right behind me was your star hero piece of the day, which is the staircase.
I think as far as staircases go, I mean, it's a beautiful feature, and it could just have been stairs going to the upstairs, but now it's a feature that I love, like floating concrete steps with glass.
You've made some really interesting light feature choices that really stand out in each room. Can you tell us more about that?
I spent hours and hours and hours on the internet just Googling and looking at all the different light options available through all the major companies that we all know and that we're familiar with. But the pendants and the feature lights, yes, I was very passionate about that, and I actually have changed quite a bit of it over the years as well, as I get bored of one feature, because it's an easy thing to change to completely create a different feeling in a room.
So tell me, what do you like most about your home?
I love when I walk into the front door that I feel that I'm at home and that I had a hand in choosing pretty much everything that is in this house. My husband and I, along with Pieter, we chose it all. So I really do feel when I walk in here that it's a reflection of who we are and how we live. So I always feel very welcome, and that it's got our signature on it and that it's our home. But I also really like that we've created a lot of little pause areas that is just beautiful little corners in our house that I enjoy walking past and seeing. So, and I want to build on those pause corners in our house.
Well, we felt welcome coming into your stunning home, and a job well done to you and the team. After the break, I visit the team at Kim H New to discuss a mood board that brings life to neutrals. In today's episode of Finest Homes, we're visiting a house designed by architect Pieter Steyn of Blunt Architects. It's a house that has maximized living space by cleverly working with different levels. Before the break, we spoke to homeowner Sinke about her vision and how she was able to bring it to life for her and her family. As today's feature house enjoys a beautiful palette of muted greys, I'm popping into Kim H New offices to find out how one can bring interest to a neutral design scheme. Tegan, today we're talking neutrals. So what's your take on this design scheme?
So neutrals are one of the fundamental things that we use in interior design, and it is such an important part of any scheme, is having a neutral base and something to build up on. So what we do with the neutrals is we always like to start off with something that just grounds the space, and then you build up onto that, and then you add different textures, you add your interesting elements into it, and you use a neutral scheme as the base of your design, and you build up from there.
So perhaps we should apply it to the space in a home. So can you talk us through the ground up how you would apply this design scheme?
Yes, so what we find is the fundamental space needs to be looked at first. You can look at your softs and you can look at everything else later, but you need to actually start off with the actual space itself, the walls, the floors, the ceilings. So what we like to do is we start off with a little bit of warmth, and we like doing like a nice rich timber floor, bringing in the neutrals into the wall color, either doing whites, creams, just a neutral color like that, and then we just bring it up like that. So the actual base of your house has the neutral color scheme, and then everything else follows suit on top of that.
Well, I absolutely love this flat lay that you've put together for us. And can you talk us through some of the elements that you've combined?
Yeah, of course. So like I said before, we start off with a neutral base. So like what we've done here is we've started off with the two contrasting colors, both within the neutral color scheme. So we start off with a base neutral, like what we've done here. And we like, with the neutrals, it can be boring quite easily. So the easiest way to stop it being boring is to bring texture and pattern and life into it. So we like bringing in a patterned neutral into it, and then we build up onto that. We stick with a color scheme, and like you can see in this setup here, that it's a neutral color scheme, but there's nothing boring about it. It's got life, it's got movement, it's got huge amounts of natural elements within it, and yeah, it comes to life.
You've mentioned, how to apply this design scheme into, walls and floors, but how would you apply this design scheme to furniture pieces and accessories in the home?
Yeah, so obviously, like I said before, it's very important to have the base of your structure, have the neutral color scheme. But where the house actually comes to life is in the softs and in the furniture and the curtains and the fabric that brings it in. So we like to warm the space up. A space is nothing without furniture and without life and warmth. So we bring in natural materials. We like using cottons and linens and timbers. And we just like to have a peaceful, relaxing environment, comfortable, relaxed, and just fundamentally pretty.
Yeah, I agree with you that the neutral sort of color palette can be quite muted, but how do you ensure that your patterns really make the impact and drama that you need to elevate the look?
Yeah, neutrals don't have to be white and grey and plain and boring. I mean, you can see what we've got here is very much brown, cream, and a little bit of charcoals. But like I said before, there's nothing boring about it. We bring in the textures, and it brings in an element of that. It brings the nature from the outside in. We've got plants, and the easiest way to bring life to any space, especially a neutral space, is bringing in natural elements, either in your textures and your materials, or actually bringing in plants and bringing in life. And then you have your natural light that brings it in, and the space just comes to life.
So if one wants to incorporate this design scheme into their home, what are the 3 guiding principles that you would provide?
First and foremost, you have to start off with a neutral base. If you want to go for a neutral scheme, you have to start with a neutral base. Pick your undertones. If you want to have a grey undertone, if you want to have a brown undertone, cream undertone, whatever undertone is going to suit your space, start off with whatever is going to dictate the rest of the space. And then the next, which I think is the most important, is choose natural materials and natural elements. If you're going for a neutral color scheme, try and stay away from your synthetic materials, anything that's plastic or too hard, because fundamentally this is a soft scheme. So stick to your natural timbers, your earthly materials, your cottons, your linens, just something that's going to bring a natural elegance into the space. And then the last one is bringing a pattern into it. People always think that with a neutral color scheme is that you have to do everything plain, and they think that the only interest can be texture. But it doesn't. You can bring in huge amounts of pattern and interest into your space. You can keep it organic and you can keep it neutral, but pattern is beautiful, and to bring it into a neutral space, it's beautiful.
I agree with you, and for a style that might come across as simplistic, can actually be quite versatile. It feels like it can fit into any room in the home.
Any room. There's nothing that dictates that this has to be in a white contemporary house. You can put the scheme into any house and it can work beautifully. If you do it correctly, and once again going back to the neutral base, if you started off with a neutral base, everything else is dictated past that.
That's it for this week's episode of Finest Homes.